For those of you that think it's a sacrilege to make a knife out of one of these, just wait till you see what I'm about to do. It's a beautiful morning here in Colorado, and I'm going to forge a knife out of a horseshoe. And I actually did this once before, and I was going to show it to you, but I think someone stole it. I can't find it anywhere. Because it was so cool looking. Anyway, I'll show you a picture of it. This is a picture of my Instagram account. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you could follow me on Instagram, and I'm probably more regular on Instagram than I am on YouTube, which is a shame, but it's a lot easier. Anyway, you'll notice on that picture that the fullering, the groove, was kind of crushed, especially up towards the handle, the grip. So this time I want to try to be able to straighten this thing out without crushing the fullering, and I want to try to make a blade out of it. I'm going to have some ideas for the handle too that I think are going to be, kind of unique. I think they'll be kind of fun, and it's going to require me to do some things that I've never done before. So looking forward to it. So let me go ahead and get this thing heated up and make us a knife. One of the things that I was told to do in order to keep from crushing this fuller is to basically put it over what we would call the horn. I heard the term bick the other day out of the UK. The bick, or even the beak. Put it over there, and just basically we're going to pull it with the tongs and try to straighten it out with the tongs. Just do the bulk of the straightening just by kind of pulling and maybe tapping on it up here in the air. So that's one thing we're going to do. The other thing that's going to happen is, you see how it's curved already here. Well, one of the things that happens if you've never flattened one side of the piece of metal, what happens is as you flatten this, it expands that edge, expands it out, and it will actually start pushing this piece out this direction. So I'm not going to straighten it down here. I'm going to go ahead and just start trying to thin it and flatten it out along this bottom edge where the blade edge will be, and see if we can't just take advantage of the fact that this curve is in there and maybe just maybe get it to straighten itself out a little bit. So that's going to be the plan, and let's just see if we can't get that thing. Must be getting hot by now. Let's go look at it. Oh, all right. Well, we're pretty red here. I'm not sure. Gary, don't watch. Oh, that's a reference to Gary Huston and his channel. Gary's the guy who actually told me I could pull this thing around without flattening it if I tried to pull it out this direction. And that is opening it up. But I've lost my heat laughing at myself. Yeah. I'm hitting with my right hand. I feel like a girl. I know I'll get in trouble for that too. But sort of flattening out. Definitely getting wider and straighter. So I may actually, and I haven't crushed it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start trying to flatten down this edge. Try to be very careful not to smash the fuller. Well, I am using my mild steel. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's mild based on what just happened here. Anvil block that sort of a sacrificial block, as it were. I ended up hitting it 3 times, it appears, with the hammer. You can see three dents. So clearly it is softer than my hammer, which I suppose is not a bad thing. Once, if the metal's hot, this seems to be pretty hard enough. So all I got to do is learn how to actually hit what I'm supposed to hit, and I think this thing will be great. I've decided, you see how the nail holes are starting, they start clear back here. I don't see any, there's no nail holes up towards the front of the shoe. I think I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the whole thing back. So that means I'm going to bring blade portion back into here. So I can have that effect, those nail holes and that fuller, the length of the blade, which means I got to heat this up and basically draw the blade out here. But you can see what's also happened by hitting along the bottom edge here where the knife edge is going to be, how it's brought itself up as compared to this side. It's still kind of curved where I haven't messed with it. So I think that was a good idea, just leaving it curved. Go ahead and start the blade. Now what's going to end up happening, I'm sure, is I'll have to figure out a way to straighten it at the end, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. Maybe cool out the edge or something and straighten it. That won't make sense. That didn't make any sense. Anyway, let me heat it up again, and we'll kind of bring the blade back into here and maybe even straighten this part of the shoe out some more so I'll have a long grip. We changed the angle and tried to block out some of the sun to see if we get. I realize it's kind of dark. I think that's getting there. I'm gonna when I cut it off, I'll cut the tip off here. That's hot. I'll cut the tip off up this way, and then I'll have a full blade full of the fuller and the holes. The fuller's maintaining its shape pretty well. Reasonably happy with that. And I've got a fairly straight. I may end up with a curved blade. Who knows? That'd be kind of a unique thing for me. I've never unintentionally made a cool curved blade. So I got a little bit more to do on the blade, and then I'll try to straighten out this grip a little bit more, and we'll start grinding. Okay, so I shut the door so you can finally see what I'm doing here. Unbelievable. You know, I try. I really do try. So this is the knife. Can you tell? I actually kind of think it's going to feel pretty good. I mean, it's not a straight thing, but it might be nice for being able to pull back with. I don't know. We'll see. And I went ahead. I cheated. I used just a cutoff tool and just cut that off rather than using my Hardy tool like I did up here. Let's put this thing in the vise, and I am going to start cleaning it up with, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wire brush it just to get stuff off, and then I'm going to start looking at how do I want to shape it, and I'll probably just use a flat disc for shaping it up. Okay, there it is, cleaned up. It looks a little more, it's actually a little more presentable, isn't it? Without all the horse manure and dirt and whatever else is in there. There's still some down in here, some rust I need to get out, but we're close. We're darn close to getting it sharp. And even though it's got this, can you see that? How can I show that to you? There you go. You can see where it's been worn down. This is just how the horse walked on it, and it's been worn down. But I think it's pretty straight along this edge. Does it look pretty straight to you? So I think we're gonna go ahead and get her ground. And I'm not sure. I'd be love to be able to have that visible on the handle, but I think the handle is going to hide that, and I think we're just going to fill that all full of epoxy. Well, we'll see. You just start grinding. Okay, the rough grind, I'm pretty happy actually with that. I think it's going to feel, at least to my left hand, it feels good. My right hand, it feels awkward. My left hand feels pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead. I mentioned I was going to do something interesting with the handle. I think I need to deal with that now while it's still in a rough shape. I need to get some holes put in here. And I'm going to actually use square rivets. Yes, I said square rivets. And I'm going to use steel rivets too. That's kind of another thing I'm going to do this different. And I'm going to use, finally, I'm going to use a pine handle. Now, this is not really a functional knife. It's more of a decorative sort of thing. That's, my horseshoe is fine. And pine will be fine as well. So that's kind of my plan. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drill a couple holes. I may actually have a hole there that I can use for the square rivets. And then I've got some square tube that I'm going to put in here for a lanyard as well. And that's going to be a bigger hole. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out, but I need to get a square hole put in here. I'm hoping that this material is actually big enough for the tube I have. So that's the thing I'm going to do next. We'll get those in there, make sure that everything looks reasonably straight, and get a handle made. Okay, well, here's what you just missed the last 45 minutes of my life. I thought I had let me back up. I'm going to use this material, the square bar, as two rivets, right there and there. And then I've got this really small, fairly small square tube that I'm intending to shove right down through there for my lanyard. And I'm going to put them in a kind of in a diamond pattern, so the points will be this way as opposed to being flat with the sides of the knife. They'll be perpendicular, 45 to it. Well, and I thought I had a square drift, and I couldn't find it. I looked everywhere. So I had to make one. So I've got a square drift that I'm going to drive down through here. I'll heat the blade up, I'll drive it down in these locations, and then I'll drive this big one down and through here. And all along the way, I'm going to try to keep from deforming this too bad. That's why I went ahead and drilled it out, so I would not have all that material to move. We just have to move a little bit. Now, I made this thing, if you're interested, I made this thing out of a crowbar. Like we call them crowbars here in the States. You might hear them called a pry bar. If you live down in Australia, you probably call it like a huli boolabong bar or something like that. But one of these guys. That's what I made it out of. I bought a couple of those at an auction for real cheap, and it's hard metal, and it should hold up well as a drift. So let's see. I'll get this guy back in the fire, and we'll start drifting. Okay, I've never done this before, so I'm being kind of gingerly about it, but it's starting to make a square hole. So I need to probably just be a little more aggressive, get it on partially through one way and then partially through the other way, and let's see what we can't do. I think it's going to work. I can't believe it. I finally have a moment of success. Look at that. I didn't have the camera on. But I got a square hole. If I can find my stock, we'll find out if it fits. Not yet, but oh, it does. It fits right in there. Ooh, maybe it fits a little bit too well. Might have to adjust that a little bit. But yeah, we got a little carried away. That's all right. I went from being a wimp to being a man. Okay, there's two of them. They both seem to be fitting. You saw that I just drove the, actually finished the hole off with the stock. Pretty much liking that. So now this big one, a little bit afraid because of this. So I'm really thin right here. So we'll see. Hopefully we can do it. Okay, all cleaned up, sort of cleaned up. Anyway, wire brushed. Pull it off my finger because it just snagged me. Sort of square holes. This one's not too bad. It looks worse on this side, but you know what? The tube fits through there. I get epoxy on there and a grip. You'll never know the difference. Well, you will because I just told you. But so that's next step. I want to grind this edge and put a grip on it, man. I think we're almost there. This is kind of an odd shaped deal, but somebody might like it. I like it. Okay, I kind of left you behind a little bit on the knife build yesterday. This is day 2. I've got everything epoxied together now. The grips, aren't they beautiful? I actually had a little bit of a problem here. And, you know, that's all right. I mean, this is just for fun and also just to see if I could do it. Learning experience. But I had this piece just broke out of here when I tried to drive the square piece through. So you see I kind of just glued it all back on there. And then it started to break out here as well because this is really, really thin through here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. I may end up mixing some sawdust and some varnish together just to kind of fill it in, just so it doesn't look like broken metal. But today I'm going to go ahead and just really quickly do a little bit of a finish grind sand on the handle, the grip, so it looks more like a knife, and hopefully we'll get to see how these diamonds actually ended up looking in there. I think they're going to look pretty good, but it's kind of hard to tell with it looking as awesome as it does. So let me get this thing going here. This is my fine woodworking tool. How you like it? 36 grit disc. It will move wood like nobody's business, but I'm just going to I got to take down, oh golly, I probably ain't going to end up taking down close to ½ inch of material along here because I don't expect my grips to be much more than a ¼ inch wide. Plus I got to take all this steel down, so this will actually work pretty well for that. I can't help but laugh at myself. All right, this is why people don't use steel when they're making their rivets, or they don't make them 4 inches long like I did. First of all, it takes forever to sand them, so I took them over to my bandsaw and I tried to cut them on my bandsaw. Well, the bandsaw won't cut. It's a wood cutting bandsaw and it doesn't cut through metal, even though I got a metal blade in it, blah, blah, blah. So then I cut them with a hacksaw. And then I started sanding them. Well, now they are so hot. I just burned myself on them because they're so hard to get down. It's like, anyway, I think it's going to look really cool, actually. I mean, considering all the broken wood that's on it, I think that the pattern is going to be pretty sweet, and I think the color offset will be neat. The white pine with the silver steel. But man, I'll tell you what, I can't. I'm gonna have to put this thing down for a while and come back to it because it is hot, hot, hot. But in fact, if I hold it just right, I'll burn myself with it. Like if I put my hand on that thing. Anyway, that's how it's looking so far. I'm pretty happy. I may go ahead and put a little bit more on the shape on it just so you can see what it's going to end up looking like. But I think we're going to call it good with that. Alrighty, there it is. I kind of like the, I wish I could find some smaller steel tube. It's just kind of big for a handle, especially this thin. Maybe if I had a bigger handle. But I kind of like the way the diamonds came out. They don't look too shabby in there. If I look over this side, I got obviously more sanding to do. And I got some serious repair to do back here. A little shaping up here. But I'm going to call it good with for this video on that. Okay, I lied. I went ahead and finished it. There it is. I went ahead and I put some epoxy and sawdust mixture kind of together, made up, I don't know what you call it, but it filled in the holes and it's smooth now. So if you close your eyes, it feels great. But there it is, finished off. I think it came out pretty nice, considering all things considered. You know, I used pine and it finished up actually pretty well, except for where I gouged it. I like the triangle thing. I would probably try to do that again, maybe with something softer, maybe aluminum. Something that would be easier to work with than steel. Fuller held its shape pretty well, so there you go. There's the finished knife. Oh, and for those of you that I thought that took my other knife, that stole it, and you know who you are, I found it. So here's the original that I made for my wife. It's got walnut and brass and horseshoe, more traditionally kind of straight, nice. And this one's actually sharp. So there you go. There's the original. There's the latest. Have a great day. Hey, as always, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, go ahead and click the thumbs up button down below. It really does help. If you'd like to be notified when we publish new content, go ahead and click my channel icon to subscribe. And finally, while you're here, take some time to check out some of our other videos. Have a great day and get out there and do something new today.